So welcome back to South First Inside View, and today I have with me my colleague Sai Charan from Telangana. In fact, a very interesting story he has written. He's gone all the way to meet a Kolam tribe. They're known as the Kolam tribe. Uh, in fact, he writes in his article that he had to trek over there pretty far from this main city. So Sai, welcome back to South First Inside View, and do tell me all about this particular story that you have written.
Hi, Nolan. It's good to be back. So the story I did was based out of Adilabad, where there's a tribe called the Kolam tribe. So traditionally, they work with bamboo and they create various crafts. They create walls. They create baskets. And yeah, it was a little bit of a trek. So essentially, Adilabad itself is about 600 kilometers away from Hyderabad. And from there, from the town, I had to go through mountains and hills to get to this village. We traveled about three-fourth of the way on a bike, but after that it was a unpacked road. It was very steep and it was rocks everywhere. So we were afraid that we were going to fall off the bike if we went on it. So we had to get down, we had to go down those steep hills by foot, all the while scared that I might fall and hurt myself. And then we finally reached Boringguda, a village that's quite literally surrounded by hills and forests.
Wow. Could you just describe? I mean, it's very interesting what you stated. I wish I could have also been there. I like these type of stories. So if you're now standing right over there, I know you said there are hills. Could you just take me through what all do you see, or what all did you see around you?
Well, firstly, the houses don't go beyond like 2 meters. You can always see you can always see the horizon from any point of the village, and you can hear all sorts of noises of animals. You can hear noises of people just gossiping. A very lively chatter, which is very different from something you find in the cities. And to top it off, none of these roads are packed. They're all unpacked. They're all like muddy and they're not something you can walk stably on for the most part. And you have all these little stray dogs and cats roaming around, and nobody really cares. Everybody lives in harmony with each other.
I mean, that's the best, right?
Indeed.
All right. So your stories are all about a dying art, or a dying uh, something that they have been doing for generations, and their children are not taking it up. You in your article, in fact, you can read Sai's article. It's called Boringguda, a tucked away village fights to help future generations dream. Now it's interesting. I went through your article. There's something about the skills that they have um, sort of accumulated or got over generations, and this is being lost because of their kids don't want to do that anymore. So what is that skill?
So the Kolan tribe traditionally is engaged in work called bongo pani. So bongo translates to bamboo in Telugu, and pani is work. So their work, their livelihood has always depended on bamboo, apart from some pockets of them who do agriculture. So in the village that I visited, most of the youth over there are now not working with this. It's only the older ladies and some younger ones who do it. But for the most part, this is a profession that is dying out over there.
So what do the youth
So there's
do?
multi- hmm?
What do the youth do? So you
The
said that
youth.
it's the old people who are doing it. So what do they do? What work are they busy in?
So what they explained to me is that essentially the idea was always their parents always thought that their children would also be engaged in Bongopani. But as the years passed, the government tried encouraging education among them. So they were sent to the towns where they were educated. So most of the youngsters have some kind of education, whether it's schooling or some of them also have a college degree. And they work in the town doing all kinds of jobs, but not the bamboo work.
All right. So basically, I don't know how to say this. I mean, for many others, education is a way to get out of the miserable life, if I could use that term, that they are living in. So education is their way out. But over here, education is actually destroying something which has been followed for generations. What did you manage to speak to any of the youth? Did they tell you something about this? I mean, this is something I know. They need education, they have to make money, they have to go out, but there's something which is dying.
So, indeed, actually, one other interesting thing about Boringguda is most of the village does not speak Telugu. Telugu being the official language of Telangana, most of the village doesn't speak it. They speak their own tribal language called Kolami, which is a mix of Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, and also bits and pieces of English. So the ones that I did speak to, those who can speak Telugu in the village are the ones who pursued an education in Adilabad town. And what they were telling me was honestly uh, about their own personal identity being in turmoil because they are not aware of their own customs anymore. Most of the childhood, they grew up in these schools in Adilabad town where they were taking in Telugu, where they were taking in parts of English, where they were learning all about science, math, and history. But they didn't get to learn about their own tribe, their own culture, and weren't even able to get their own uh, tribe's primary livelihood. They weren't able to learn how to do bamboo work. So they were telling me about how they feel alienated because they can't find a decent job, even with their education. And despite their education, they're not able to find any real work, even in their own town. They feel like they're stuck between the urban and the rural.
Any sort of help that they are getting from the government, considering that they really have issues?
Well, from what the villagers tell me, they have not received any help as such. Um, so obviously, whenever there's a government job posting, they do go there, they apply, and they try to get in. But this has also proved to be an issue because for most of them, Telugu is not a first language. It's Kolami that's their first language, and these public service commission exams happen either in English or in Telugu, and that becomes a problem for them because in the same way that when UPSC is conducted in Hindi, a person from South India is a little disadvantaged. Even these people are a little disadvantaged when they're taking the Public Service Commission exams of Telangana.
UPSC, you can write in English, so you have a
Yeah.
paper. But I think when we're talking about state exams, you have to know
Mm.
the state language, the official language. So I think there's a difference between the UPSC and them, and I'm understanding. I get what they are facing, but in your article, when I read through it, uh, see there are issues today with climate change. The amount of bamboo that is actually growing, wild bamboo in the forest. Your article talks about that one person said that he had to trek for about what 12 odd kilometers just to source wild bamboo, and then since his age, he's getting on with his age. Earlier he would reach back by around what noon, but now because he's old, he reaches by evening. But the problem is that are they getting sufficient bamboo for the ones who are still doing this work?
So, yeah, some of the people who are still engaged in bamboo work informed me that before 2021, bamboo was relatively more available across the forests that they are surrounded by.
Mhm.
But since 2021, they've noticed that the bamboo population itself has gone down massively. And yeah, so a lot of the people in the village, they set out in the morning and they go out about 10 to 12 kilometers. They cut the bamboo that grows in the wild. They carry it on their shoulders and come back again by walk all the way back. And this is not just a plain surface. They go up hills, they have to come down hills, they have to maintain the balance, they have to make sure they don't crash into any other vehicles. And honestly, as you said, they used to come back by noon earlier days when it was a little more available. And now, even the older ones who are still engaged in the profession, they settle in the morning, but they have to come back in the evening. And all the while, they are walking.
So, but they don't have any issues with the forest department officials that they can still enter the forest and source bamboo.
So they do. So not in terms of bamboo particularly, but so this is a tribe that has been living around the forest for as long as they can remember. And for them, they never had to go to the market to get anything. They had whatever they needed, the forest provided, and whatever the forest, and they also took care of the forest in turn. But since the last couple of generations, their movement within the forest has been restricted. Even though they can see the produce that's lying around that they can take, The intervention of the forest department has them to have to go to the towns and buy the same things they would usually get for free with the money that is already scarce among the village.
Okay. And what about selling it? Because in your article, you do write about certain issues that they face with the forest officials who sort of harass them, if I can use the word.
Indeed. So, as I said, one of the primary products that they create with bamboo is called a tarka. A tarka is essentially a wall fencing which they create with bamboo. So they cut the bamboo into little strips and weave them together. And a tarka is essentially 6 arm lengths of just bamboo fencing. So this is the primary product that they produce in Boringguda, and they have to transport this in stacks to the town to be able to make a sale. So what happened is earlier on, when they were transporting this, the forest officials would often intervene, and they would not let them go, or they would only let them go after taking a little bit of share. And because of this, their sales were hurt, and they also weren't able to manage the time because again, Boringguda is not close to Adilabad town. It's about 70 odd kilometers away, and going there and coming back is already a hassle. So the intervention of the forest department caused issues over there as well. And to circumvent this challenge, what happened is now the people are selling it to middlemen who are charging them less and are selling it for a more premium price across. So wherein these people would get about 200 odd rupees for one tadka, they would sell the same for about 600 odd rupees in the town.
You know, Sai, this is the same story. I've been traveling, in fact, for the past few days, and this is the same story I hear everywhere. The farmers, they're really sweating, they're doing the work, all the hard work is over there, but they don't really get the amount which is due to them. Like many areas that I was traveling, I see them growing corn. Okay. And when we ask them how much is it, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 8 rupees, that's it. But if you go out just about a few kilometers into the main city and they charge you a bomb, I mean, it's not too costly, but they charge you. So, you see that difference over here. And I completely understand what these farmers are, the Kolam tribe is facing. But I let's put it this way. So they are not getting their rightful amount. They have struggles over there. It's about what, 60 kilometers odd from the main district, the town. And
It
you
is.
also in your article have written about the horrible road that they have there, and also some electricity issues that they are facing. Is no one wanting to actually come to their rescue and do something for them?
So starting with the electricity issue, they do get electricity from the government. However, it's the quality that's the issue here. Sometimes the wires fall off, sometimes even the poles fall off. And all these times, even though they reach out to the electricity department, they are often non responsive. So these people have had to use their own skills or call their own electricians to help set these back up. But an even larger issue that they face is that of the roads. As I said, some of these roads are unpacked, and this is especially worse during the monsoons. So the villagers were telling me how a lot of people had to die because they couldn't reach the town in time for treatment, or whether it's pregnant women who weren't able to go in time to the hospitals when they're in labor. And that's the issue. One of these roads, so Boringguda is connected by roads two ways, one from Adilabad town and the other from Indraveli, another smaller town. From Adilabad, there's a proper road about three-fourths of the way, and after which the road is horrible. But to Indraveli, half the road is through the forest, and the road is just a trodden path. It's just that small line in the forest where there is no grass growing. It has to go through a river, and it's in the monsoons that these people face real issues where if it's a bad monsoon, they're locked in the village for 4 months. Only a few people go out and get the rations for all 4 months for the whole village, and that's how they survive in the monsoons.
Sai, I'm really glad that you picked this story and focused on it, because these are the type of stories that people would want to read. These are the issues that people would want to know about. I know things might not change for the Kollam tribe immediately with this story, but slow and steady, with people talking about it, more awareness about the issues that these people face over there, there could be some pressure on the local MLA to do something. Did you manage to actually speak to the local MLA or to the government officials? Because you've been there, you've seen things firsthand. Uh, did you have any sort of talk with the officials, and what are they telling you?
I wasn't able to get in touch with the local MLA or the officials. However, from what I've heard from the people, a road is something that's been a long-standing demand, and it is set to come up in the next couple of years. So they had to come together
Hold on one
and
second. So
elect.
you're saying that the road is to come up in the next couple of years.
Indeed, it's not happening immediately, but they've been promised it as in. So they elected a BJP MLA over there under the promise that he would get them a road within his term. So that's what they're hanging on to right now, and that's the kind of they have. And apart from that, they've informed me that the government officials, while they do empathize with it, they cannot work on it because they often lack the kind of support that they need to lay the roads or to come there and mend things.
Is it because it's forest land that the government, I mean, these officials are struggling, or what is the reason?
Indeed. So one of the major issues is the location of this. As I said, you have it's a location that's surrounded by hills
Hmm.
without proper roads and without proper electricity. So these are challenges which are hard to navigate for most government officials because they also have to carry gear with them. In fact, Boringguda is a little lucky among the villages in that area. Its very name, Boringguda, comes from the fact that it had one of the first bore wells in the area. And it's still one of the primary water sources for the village, and even the other villages come there for any special occasions that they have to get the water. So yeah, the location is a primary challenge for them.
All right, Sai, thank you very much. I mean, so if you'll want to know more about this story, do read up Sai's article, which is on our website, South First. Very interesting, very detailed. He has focused on all the issues that the people over there, the Kolum tribe, is facing, and also the fact that that skill set which has come down by generations will be lost, and this time around is because the next generation is educated. They don't want to do the same thing. They want to do something else in life. But thanks once again, Sai.
Thank you, Noel.